What what I'm trying to say in this slide is that we're going to benefit from what's happening globally in the global 3G ecosystem. As we see globally consumers, operators, and OEMs focused on 3G devices, those economies of scale, those benefits that the ecosystem will get to enjoy will begin to show in India as well, as we are seeing already. I want to shift a little bit to talk about BrewMP, or Brew Mobile Platform. Many of you all in the audience have heard of Brew. Many of you all associate that with CDMA phones. What you're going to hear a lot more about today in the session after lunch, after tea rather, is new developments that we are making happen with respect to Brew. We're making it more open and extensible. That's been there and growing for many, many years. It's in fact 7 years old. Not many people know this, but more than $3 billion of developer earnings have actually taken place. By now, there are more than 120 million plus App Store users, 20,000 plus titles, application titles, 5,500 plus registered developers, 1,400 handsets, and 70 plus carriers that support Brew. We're going to leverage this entire ecosystem for BrewMP. So Brew, that has been existing for 7 years, is now going to become fresh, new, strong in the days and months ahead. My colleague will explain that a little later in the day. I want to switch gears back to talking about smartphones. You heard earlier that smartphones have been growing at an astounding rate, far beating many of the analyst predictions. What I wanted to talk about here in this slide is the fact that these smartphones are launching in India around the same time that they're launching globally, and they come in all kinds of shapes and sizes and all kinds of price points. From entry-level smartphones, which are under $200, which in months ahead might even touch $100, to high-end smartphones that are more than $600 in price, all of this retail. In addition to the smartphone design 2010, we are particularly proud to talk about Snapdragon, where we expect to have 70 plus designs this year. Now, Snapdragon, as Jeff explained, is of course one of our top-end chipset lines. In addition to always-on connectivity and all-day battery life and instant on, it is location-aware from the get-go. It does allow devices which are much thinner, lighter, and quieter. And of course, that results, the integration of Snapdragon results in a much lower BOM. It supports all modern HLOSs and currently supports Android. Snapdragon for India, in our opinion, is particularly useful for two reasons. One is that, unlike what you have in developed markets, where there is an expectation that you have a PC or a laptop, in India, people are experiencing the internet for the first time, once 3G will come on. We think new form factors that Snapdragon allows will actually make it extremely attractive for Indian users, especially the youth. In addition, the fact that it can run on a single charge for 24 hours is going to be extremely useful in a market which has a problem where electricity does not always stay with you for the whole day. Most cities, as you know, and most towns have electricity only for some part of the day. So we think that this particular device, in addition to its powerful functionality, could be a very compelling product for the Indian market. This is a brief interlude to talk about our technology leadership. In addition to our leadership on modems, we also have, we believe, the best-in-class RF and PMIC designs. We have a high level of system integration, and our process and packaging is also leading edge. We have a series of chipsets, right from Snapdragon on the top to the 7K and 6K series, all the way down to single QSC, single chips solutions. All of these support 3G, different varieties, different multimedia capabilities. We have at this time well over 60 customers, this is in fact a little dated, and over 500 plus devices in design and production as we speak. One area that I wanted to touch on was to talk about HSDPA, HSUPA, and HSPA+. Oftentimes in the industry, they're all clubbed together under a single mnemonic of HSPA. We believe that OEMs and operators that will encourage the deployment of HSUPA and HSPA+ will reap rich dividends. Last week, my 9-year-old daughter had a rash, and instead of taking her to the doctor, I took a quick photograph of her, sent it to my sister, who happens to be a physician, and got a response back, a triage at least, in under 15 minutes. It took me 15 minutes because I was on a 2G network. When 3G happens, we can see these kinds of interesting applications of telemedicine happen in seconds. The space of user-generated content that Jeff talked about is also sweeping India. Today, more than 70% of accesses to Facebook from India happen through mobile handsets and smartphones, not through the PC. So to the point that was made earlier, we believe that smartphones will be a dominant platform, may not be the only one, but certainly a dominant platform whereby Indians will access and reach out to the internet. Social networking and user-generated content have been a big success. And uploading photos and videos will drive the need for HSUPA. U stands for uplink. And HSUPA allows you much higher speeds on the uplink, allowing you to, for example, upload photographs, videos, other multimedia content much faster than what HSDPA can. Social networking applications like Facebook, for example, we think will create the demand for HSUPA. And of course, moving on then to HSPA+. We saw Google launch the availability of DLF, the Premier League IPL, on YouTube a couple of months ago. They were overwhelmed by the response that they received from India and abroad. High-res video content will create the need for HSPA+ as well. So if application developers, OEMs, and operators were to get together, there are some very compelling services and applications that we're already seeing, which are successful, that can be monetized. In addition to that, of course, we have existing commercial content, and many of these applications are in fact showcased at the back in the hall outside to talk about what's possible, location-based services, games, what have you.